Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Podcast with an Accent show. Today I have with me Tamara Wolfe, international life coach and speaker and owner of Full Spectrum Living. Welcome, Tamara.
Thanks for having me, Vadim. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Let's jump to it. What's your accent? What accent do you speak with?
You know what? If I interpret what you mean by that, I come from the place of living your best life now. My mission really for myself is to do that, but my absolute mission is to help other people live their passions and their purpose so they can feel most alive and they're living in flow and giving of their gifts and having an impact on the world and impacting other people, creating that ripple effect. Definitely come from that place. And it comes from, my why behind it all is I watched a mom who went through a terrible disease and decline with Alzheimer's. And I want to be sure that people, live their best life while they're living it. We don't know what tomorrow may bring. So the time is now. So I really come from that and helping to lift people up. That's my accent.
Loving it. Loving it. So many things in there to unpack. I want to say one of the things is you said you're helping them to live their lives. And it's like, yes, the key is to live your life, not somebody else's life, whatever it may be. It's good to have the inspiration to draw from, but it's their life. You're living your life, and you know what's making you happy.
Absolutely. And so many people don't know what makes them happy, or they don't know what their passion or purpose is. They are living someone else's life, that what's been put on them over time. So that's my passion, is to help them connect with that and find that way and give them permission, right? The permission to step into that, and that you can take that and then go with it in a career path and anything. And when you're living in that space, you're in alignment and everything flows well. So it's just a beautiful process.
What's your story? How did you get to this point?
Yeah, and that's wide open, so you can kind of hone me in because I go with that. But I grew up north in Massachusetts, one of middle child of five kids, and I was definitely on the more shy and introverted side. And and I think it partly too was my sisters would team up, my brothers would team up, and here I was in the middle. So I was navigating between two sets of siblings, but in the long run, I do believe that strengthened me. And where I found my way of making through the shyness was I excelled in sports and dance. I found that was my avenue for expression, and it was through that I kind of built my strength. And one of the things that I remember is that I knew I had a fire inside. I knew I wanted to have impact. I had this energy. Always thought I'd be a famous dancer, or really rise up in that way. But uh, that was kind of my fuel for going forward. And along with that, my parents were uh, very much givers. My dad is an ordained minister, and he took that into working with juvenile delinquents. My mom was very involved with kind of doing preschool teaching and that kind of thing, very much people. And so I was surrounded by the giving field. And so from a young age, I was teaching and mentoring, and kind of I taught dance when I was real small to kids in my neighborhood. And so I kind of developed that mentoring and that teaching love early on. We'd have neighborhood school where we'd educate, we'd set up school and teach and everything. So those were kind of the things that planted where I've kind of developed over time, going through several different careers in giving, and helping people along the way. Um, and I'll never forget a high school teacher, you know, understood that I had trouble getting up and talking in front of the class. And she let me go and do a dance project that was equivalent to my giving my speech in the classroom. And that really boosted, my energy. And she matched what my desires were. So really, that kind of planting of having that background really led me to where I am now. And um, I always had the burning desire to be the best that I could be in anything that I aspired to. So I could go on, but
And now we're talking, and now we're right here.
yeah.
What are you inspired by, Tamara?
What really lights me up is watching those people who have come from, they have had a challenge in their life, and they've turned it around, and they've created, from that, their passion, that they take where they came from, and then they really grow from that, and they rise to the occasion to be able to take that challenge and bring it to a larger level and impact people. You can hear kind of a theme here. Really the impact in the world. But, it actually is through challenges that we do evolve into, where we want to go. And so to watch, people who do that and inspire and bring their gifts to the world. And yeah, that you don't have to have, all this education and all that. You can take, listen to your intuition, take the tools that you have, and really go and share them with the world. So those are some of the key things that, inspire me.
Loving it, loving it. And then you look around, you see people who kind of subconsciously and consciously, they didn't know that they are working onto something bigger. They've been just perhaps doing their life every day to day, years, doesn't matter how many years, and all of a sudden they realize, hey, I've got all of this information, nobody else has got it, or maybe other people don't have it. They are not where I am right now, and where I am, I just take it for granted because I've been doing this for so long, per se. And you can just share that information with, you can become a leader in that field, just if you give yourself permission to do that.
Love it. And actually that's part of my story. I was going to, the intuition piece of listening, I listened to each step because I went through several different careers, but they each were leading to the next one. And I was listening. I have key voices and sentences and statements that I remember that helped me kind of go, wait a minute, now is the time to pivot or shift to something else. And that's really been a big guide for me. And in fact, later on, I'm going to be doing some coaching on one of my key tools is intuition. And when we learn to listen to that, Adam, right, like what you were saying before, then that's the guide that helps us know, what is it that is coming from the inside that we can live our best life and bring that gift. So yeah, I say, really listen to what's speaking to you and pay attention to that, because those are clues of this spiritual kind of part of you that's seeking for more.
That being said, who did you ask permission to be where you are right now? Or did you ever have to ask permission anybody?
That's a great question. And I think that was instilled in me early on, to just really, listen to yourself and go forward. And I have this like kind of fiery statement that I have, kind of a mantra, like, don't mess with me. I know where I'm going. Don't mess with me. Let me go. Not to say it's always, a clear path, that I might have to kind of, you know, you know, put people aside and let how to find my way through. But yeah, no, my permission was giving myself permission. um, and that can be a challenge as well. But in general, I've really, when I look back, um, thank goodness I have, because I've stepped into kind of that higher place of where I've been going on my path, with more to come. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We're not done until we're done.
One of the things I've been saying, and I love to say it, is I don't ever myself personally want to say I'm on the top. Like, I've achieved it. I've achieved everything I could ever achieve, or I'm so good, there is no way to get any better, right? Um, the only once you say that, the only way from that is to go down, down and down. That's about it.
And that's what I talk about. We're either growing or dying. And the minute you stop growing or seeking for more, so again, I want to make sure people are living while they're living, right? Living their life while they're living, not just sitting on, right, like you said, mediocrity or I'm all good. It's all good. It's all good, you know. Um, and that's who I seek out, is to be around people who are on that path too, and to encourage others to do the same. Yeah.
Amazing. Tamara, does your life currently, does it give what you've envisioned it to be in your early 20s?
That's so funny. When I was kind of thinking about that, that just popped up in another arena that I was in recently about the 20-year-old self. And at that age, and not knowing what I know now, I had kind of this foresight that, yep, I wanted to be a therapist. I kind of knew that I wanted to be a dance movement therapist. That was my first career, and I wanted to have a family and have kids. But that was about as far as I had, in my vision, be happy, of course, and be with friends and all that kind of thing. Um, so, so if I think about, now where I am, I achieved that. I became a therapist. I had two children. I created a beautiful family and all of that. And so I am there, but have gone beyond. I evolved into more. So um, yeah, and if I were to look back, I'd be more clear on bigger things that I want to do, you know, um, or know that I can think bigger.
It's one of those things when you're young, right, and you wish you had those things, like right now, whatever it may be, right now, and then you get to the point and you have those things, and you're like, that's it.
Right.
Cool. I mean, nice, cool, whatever. But by the time you get those things that you really wanted when you were young, you have other goals, and you're like, okay, now I wish I had something else.
Mhm,
And you just keep
mhm.
working on it, and eventually you just end up at the point of like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's nice to have things and such, but it's also nice to have, that passion inside of you and clarity of knowing what you're doing, and know that whatever you're doing is making an impact and is making you happy, and you're happy to wake up every day and go out and serve or produce or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give your younger self?
Well, gosh, it's kind of goes along what you were just kind of talking about. If I, uh, in talking back, I would say get more clarity, really write a vision. I had no idea about visions, and that you could write these things down, and, and that now I'm learning a lot about neuroscience because I'm working on a certification in that. And your brain really responds to specificity, it responds to emotion, it responds to pictures. So I would have, I'd say, go ahead and write your vision, get really clear on what you want, think big. You deserve all the richness that's there in all areas of your life, and and don't settle. That you can aspire to abundance, and that we're all here for abundance. And so go for it, just really go full out, and be sure that you're leading that, that balanced life in all areas, that you can have a vocation that you love, and have the same thing happening in your time and money freedom, and spending time with friends, and all of that. It's just having clarity on how you do that, and going forward. So yeah, just a little encouragement of like, just go big, and savor, and just enjoy life.
Absolutely. Do you have a story to share with us from your life that has a valuable message?
Yeah, I think it goes along with what we're talking about, and it really comes to where I am now. And I think from what I've been speaking, it kind of is a thread that throughout this time that we're talking about. And it really is really my journey in my vocation, in bringing my gift to the world, and being brave enough to listen and step out of things when, for instance, I got my master's degree as a dance movement therapist. I worked my tail off. I spent so much time studying, and I don't even know how I made it through graduate school. I was on my own. I had to, work a job on the side, and but I was determined, and I loved what I was doing, but there was a point again where my intuition said, "What are you doing? You're not fully serving in the role that you have," because at that time, kind of insurance was controlling the game in terms of how long patients could be in the hospital and different things that I was doing, and I just felt I wasn't able to live fully into my gift in that arena, and was seeking for what that transition might be, and and it took a little while for that to happen. I stepped out when my kids were, small. I wanted to be home and have that balance. So I think my radar was up for doing something where I could absolutely be connected with the family, have that time to enjoy and be the mom that I wanted to be, and have something else. And I do believe in, I was putting that message out, and this career in direct selling came along, and it kind of at first was like, wait a minute, um, be a salesperson coming from a therapist kind of thing. But there was this energy inside that said, you know what, this is a step. You didn't learn business to go into private practice as a therapist. So, this is a great way to learn business and have the flexibility of, being home. So I stepped into that, and um, uh, my tendency is to be a leader. I like to mentor. I like to teach. That teaching thing came out again. So I aspired to moving right up to be a kind of a leader in that whole arena, and loved it. Was in that for a while, loved the flexibility, but then there was that urge for more. Like, again, we were saying before, continuing to grow and go to the higher level. And I think that pull of being back, serving people in a different kind of level. And I was learning neuroscience and business. So um, uh, that was a pull too. I said, gosh, I want to take this learning into a bigger arena. And just amazing. The same kind of thing. I was in what I call an unconscious competent. I was doing then what I know now as a system, as a life coach, of how you help people find their next step. I was listening and kind of putting those things out into the world. So there were many ingredients and things I was putting out there that led me to my now mentor. I'll never forget. I had my iPad on my sink one morning, and I heard an interview by her, and I was seeking for, my next step, either get clear with my vision, stay where I am in this leadership role, or there's something more. And I went to her event, which was focused on vision. Long story short, all that I was speaking about earlier, about really tuning into my love of helping people find their passion and purpose, had a label, and it was life coaching and speaking, and stepped over the line with so much fear. How can I, at midlife, step into a new career, invest tremendously, study hard, and step out of something that I'd been in for a very long time, and I had a team that was that I loved. But again, I was listening, and I'm so glad I did, because the alignment, the piece that was missing, all came together when I took that step. Despite the fear. So that's really, I think, my, kind of thing of my journey, and the biggest valuable lesson is really listening, so that, you keep moving, you keep going to what you love.
And I'm loving hearing that. Tamara, what's your favorite book that you read and why?
Oh gosh, you know what? Um, it's really hard to narrow it down, but probably the one that stands out in kind of the work that I do currently is this old book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And it's really the core of the coaching that I do. It has this formula that's so beautiful of, how you tune into what you love, how you fuel it with passion. You can't just have some, an idea of what you, want to do and have it be at what I call it this level up here, that's just kind of flat, like, oh, I have this goal. You got to love it. And the brain really will tune into that passion. And so when you fuel that passion and then you expect it's going to happen and then you get into action, that's where it all goes. So his formula, that's it in a nutshell. Wallace Wattles, is kind of that key of helping me and what I do, with my clients moving forward. And then on a personal level, I'd say, I have a personal book. It's funny, I won't even remember exactly what it was about, but it's still, I go, that was one of my favorites. It's called, The Colony by Anne Rivers Siddons, and it's based in Maine, on the coast of Maine, and that's where I grew up going every summer. And there was just so much, I can just literally, the feeling that I remember in reading that I was like right there, and the character development and everything that was happening. I was like, oh, this is an awesome space. I love it. But she's one of my favorite authors as well.
What's your favorite quote?
My what? Quote? Oh, quote.
Yours. Do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah. You know, I can't help but pick. I have two, sorry. So one of them that just came this morning was just a quote by Buddha, I am awake. Meaning, right? We got to stay awake. You got to stay awake to the opportunities that are coming, stay awake to possibilities that are happening. It's just a simple phrase, but it really, keeps you aware, because when we're not aware, things are passing by. People are passing by that you might want to be connected with. And my other one, just to kind of keep everything, uh, that you stay in your lane, is Eleanor Roosevelt's, you only drown if you let the water in. We get to choose what we let into our brains. And when we understand that, oh, makes a huge difference that we have that power. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Or to kind of tag along, the only way perhaps for people not to succeed is, A, as you said, not to be
yeah,
awoke, or just have some awareness, but just be lazy about it,
yeah,
or just feel like you've hit the cap and why bother and pursue anything else when
right.
it's kind of comfortable. When the opportunity to say, hey, get out of that comfort zone, go crush it. Life isn't over yet.
Right, exactly. I call it the terror barrier. You got to go beyond it. And then it's like, oh, how awesome. And another one will come along because you're going to keep growing. But yeah. Um, and I put my hockey equipment on. I played ice hockey. So like, I think about like, I'm going, I got this.
Yes, yes. And sometimes you just need to visualize that and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready for battle.
Yep. Absolutely.
Tamara, what's the most important photograph in your life?
I'm looking across, at one, and it's actually my two kids, um, they're probably college age, and they're standing out in front of my grandparents' parents' house with the ocean in the back, where we go every summer, and they're just hugging each other, and the joy that they have, and the carefreeness. It just is, just lights me up. Just a beautiful photo of them in pure joy.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
What turns you on, Tamara?
Gosh, that's a loaded question, but in a silly way, again, I kind of go personal and then professional. But right now, I mean, and it has been for a long time, the neuroscience study. I'm getting certified right now in all of that, and just the whole idea that our brain is so powerful, and it does light me up about, again, how to use it and how to bring that to other people, and that's how live your best life. But other things that light me up is being at the ocean, being at the beach, being, we were blessed to have a beautiful home that was left in the family to the kids, my grandparents, on the open ocean. And I, I just go there and I just have such peace inside. That really, really lights me up. And I also love, getting, playing sports and dancing. Dance has been my core all the, away across the board. I have a space in my basement, and I have a rowing machine down there, but I'll put on the music too and just free dance to kind of, move through the day. So um,
Any
I,
dance moves you'd like to share?
I like, I like rhythmic movement, and there's, there's lots of different things you can do, but yeah, um, so important to move, and just really enjoy and let loose.
Loving it. Be awake, move, enjoy, live, and go crush it.
Love it.
What an awesome conversation. What an awesome conversation. What's the best way for people to find you online, Tamara?
I think the best way is LinkedIn. I'm tuning into that. People can send a message that way. Yeah. Um, yeah, that would be it.
Tamara, thank you for being on the show. It was a true pleasure talking with you and getting to know you better and what makes you who you are today, and how you got to this point. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, madam. And I love what you're doing. And this was such a joy to be here. Thanks.
And to the audience, we'll see you next time. Thank you for being here too.